Hey guys, Andy and Spoken Label on a Friday night. Yeah, I'm doing a podcast at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, but this is a special one today. It's a bonus episode. I've got two dear friends of me today, and both of them, one's just bought a book out, and one's got a book out quite imminently. So, Clive, tell us what your book is called, first of all. Clive Oseman, of course.
Right, okay. It's obviously being me. It's got a very traditional poetic sort of title, which is Musical Hamsters and Much Bigger Issues.
Why the title then? We'll let Neymar start off in a moment.
Right. Well, it's taken from two of the poems in the book. One is about a piano playing hamster, because these things happen. And another one is called The Bigger Issues. And I've just took it from those two. But it's not just poetry. There's short story, well, not short stories, but flash fiction, Amazon reviews, letters of complaint, and all sorts of things in
Yeah,
it. It's a complete
yeah.
mixture.
And people were wondering, Clive hasn't put any of his erotic fiction in this book either. There has been rumours there was going to be erotic fiction in this book, but
There's erratic fiction, but not not erotic fiction.
I like that erotic fiction. Okay, Neymar. So obviously, we know you're a completely different sort of writer to Clive. So what's your new book called?
My new book is Saging Not Aging, and I suppose what it is it's an exploration, I suppose, of ourselves, but also of the world we live in, and so it touches on, I suppose, sort of love, loss, politics, things that I think are relatable to most of us.
Brilliant. Now, if people are wondering today, obviously, Neymar and Clive, I'm going to do is because I've not seen either of the books yet, so I can't ask them loads of detailed, horrible, nasty questions about it. So we're going to do like a round robin reading between Neymar and Clive today. And Neymar's been volunteered by Clive to go first, which is very kind of him, really. So Neymar, obviously, give us one of your pieces from this, and we'll go backwards and forwards a couple of times.
I'm going to share a piece, seeing as today is the 7-year anniversary of Grenfell. It was a piece that was inspired by the Grenfell tragedy. The Hood in Notting Hill. Heading for a fall. Advancement has stalled. Funding has been cut. The youth clubs are shut. The citadel ablaze with money saved. Warnings in the ash, pulling against the tide of statistical projection, genteel gentrification, a hotbed of crime. Here's a dime, call someone who cares. Switchboards drowning in calls, praying for it all. If you can't run, crawl. Never mind where you start. Charred bricks and green hearts. The neglected track holding you back. Don't fall through the cracks as you salute those who broke through, paying tribute the faces we knew, remembering the time you almost had it all, the scapegoating suits in the stands, whitewash running red from their hands. Thank you.
Beautiful stuff, and great way to start off today with that. What made you write that piece? Because obviously, tragedy, it sickens me to my stomach what I read about that at the time.
I think what inspired me. I mean, I lived on Lancaster West Estate for 18 years. My two eldest children grew there. I mean, I lost personal friends in the tragedy, and I was just incensed by the corporate greed and neglect of Kensington and Chelsea and all of the officials involved in this tragedy.
Understandable now. It's an awful situation. We've got it in Manchester a lot at the moment. So yeah, I completely agree. It's a powerful, powerful piece. Clive, take us in
Yes.
another direction, please, my friend.
Okay, yeah. Well, obviously, after Nayma's sublime poetry, it's always going to be a bit different from me. The first one I'm going to do is it's inspired by. I mean, obviously, if you've ever watched the news on the TV or any live broadcast for that matter, or if you've been on a Zoom with the captions on, you know that the captions or the subtitles are not always exactly accurate. And once or twice, I've literally laughed in very inappropriate places because of what the subtitles have come up with, because it bears no resemblance sometimes to what was actually said. And this is based on that, and it's called When the Subtitties Go Bung. My name is Clive Oseman. I am a poet, chameleon and Tory seller from the wet piglands, po-faced in Klingon in Wiltshire. Recently, I've buffered from Blighter's cock, so I forced myself to write something, anything, to release myself from this torture, for the good of my genital health. After all, it has been suggestive that fighting is as good as therapy. This is the result. It's not likely to be one of my greatest tits, not by a long fork. But at least I'm getting worms down on paper, which is half the bottle. It's not a poem, but a brief naughty biography. I started writing poetry about 20 years ago, but didn't start reforming until 2014, when I started breeding at open mics. Breeding in public was awkward for a sly introvert, as I was back then, but now I'm keen to breed anywhere I can. In the curly years, I rarely lasted 3 minutes, but now I barely get warmed up inside 20 minutes. Indeed, I've done a one-man performance lasting 75 minutes on humorous occasions, and that takes guts. I called the show What If They Barf at Me, and many people did. I also write fash friction and snort Tories, which is a weird thing to do. I am the co-ghost of a broken nerd night, along with Licked Shovel. I am not what you would call an additional poet, nor am I a glammed-up chameleon. I don't blunder lonely as a clown, or write about Stafford Hills, and I don't tell typical jokes or reel off bemusing one lioness. I guess I'm stuck in the fiddle, Nietzsche one wing or the other. But I have found my own voice, and that is the most impotent thing. I want to bend this chalk, string it to its confusion by suggesting that we all have something to slay. Even if you think it doesn't need to be dead, slay it anyway. As I Tennyson earlier, it's God for your genital well-being. Thank you for listening.
Oh, oh dear, Clive. Oh dear, dear, dear.
There's no hope for me, is there?
I can't even answer. Nayma, is there anything you want to say?
Well, I mean, I got a signed copy of Clive's book when we performed in Nottingham, and I was chuckling all the way home. Brilliant stuff.
Oh, you are a strict one-off, mate. With that, I suppose it's worth letting people know, explain to people how you watch structured pieces like this, because I've seen you do this in a workshop before now. It tends to come fairly quickly to you, doesn't it? Really?
It does. I mean, it depends what it is. I mean, in a case of a poem like that, or the letter swapping poems that I do, I tend to start off with one or two words that sound funny if you get them wrong, and then just take it from there and just think of as many as I can, and then just make a narrative around them. And you know, the F and P poem, which is actually in the book, but virtually everybody that knows me has heard it. That took quite a lot of work, because obviously I needed to think of the words that would be funny and then make a story around them, and it took some time, which is unusual for me, because usually when I have an idea for a poem, it comes, I write it down, and it's done. And obviously with a few minor edits afterwards, then it's finished. It's not how most people would work, which is probably why I wouldn't be considered to be a poet laureate or anything. But
I'll say pisshead laureate, maybe. We're not poet laureates, yeah. Oh, great stuff, mate. Okay, Nayma, back to you, my friend. Your second piece. Drag it all back down again. I know you will, right?
Second piece is called In the Key of Nayma. Not Nayma, but Nayma. On a maternity ward, a mother said, Nayma, foreign to the nurse's ear, the shame, hard to bear when asked to spell it. Eyes, never taught to decipher the dark marks on paper. Between miscommunication emerged Nayma. Sometimes the slow stirring seduction of Coltrane's elongated breaths. Others, the budding earth, buried underfoot, fiercely erupting out of trampled soot. My chords change and overlap, coalescing with time, a melodious song, rising out of the storm. Once I was Nayma on the trail of a healer, winding through remote Moroccan mountains, a child with seizures. She's possessed by l'Afrit, summoned by the evil eye. Take her to Al-Faqih. He will recite Al-Baqarah and create an amulet to scatter the jinn far. A white-bearded man barks. Release her. In Boya Omar, a giant cube shrouded in black, the fearless jinn tamer riding in. Tortured prayers, a wrought iron fence guarding his parameters, blood-curdling screams, desolate tears, flagellation, hair pulling, eyes bulging, the anguish of the lost, bone chilling, clenched fist in chains, tug against a mind under attack. Then I was Nayma, skeptical of their superstition, pained by the forgotten children, veiled and forsaken, the terror in the whites of their eyes, that they too could return home, sought after cures, the big sham of shamans dressed in tradition, searching for the demon inside me who makes time stop with darkness, gasping in the black for breaths as the world slips from my grasp, daring him to appear before me in the depths of dreams. Nayma dreamt of death, feeling an elderly uncle's last breath, only for him to pass 2 days later. They said, Nayma has the gift of the seer, a wayward sister, foretelling the fall of Macbeth in the parched red soil, coughing tufts of dehydrated grass, the exiled exchanges of Nayma and Nayma beneath the boughs of a sprawling fig tree, its drooping fruit gorged with sweetness, their stretched purple skins tearing. An uneasy truce came to pass. Nayma returned to London, where the charms came undone. the girl who falls, falling into the darkness. Again, superstition's failure leads to the doctor, another white beard, but the eyes and tone softer. The word epilepsy, dissolving the demons, the drugs, keeping them at bay, time sensuously flowing, unbroken, coiling and recoiling in motion with the bass note of the heart, a sun-soaked ballad of Renaissance. Thank you.
That's absolutely magical, that is. So, Clive, I'm going to ask you first of all, is there anything you want to ask Nayma about that piece before I say something?
I don't really think I need to ask anything. I just think it's a stunning poem, and
Definitely.
I mean, obviously, a lot of the poems in Nayma's book I have heard her perform, but when I was reading the book the other day and I came across that poem, and I hadn't heard it at that stage, and I was just gobsmacked. It's just such an amazing poem. It's well, it's typical Nayma, really, but you know, and I mean, absolutely blown away by it.
Yeah, I've not heard that before. It's new to me, that one, to be honest, but it's really, really powerful stuff. I have to ask you, Nayma, what was the background behind that piece? It felt really, really autobiographical to me, and it must have had some level in it, I reckon.
Oh, absolutely. When I was 10 years old, I started having seizures, and a lot of people in the Moroccan community were telling my mother, you know, she should take me to Morocco, that she should take me to see a holy man and visit these shrines, and they would cure me. And that was really what it was based on, my experience in when my mother took me to Morocco. We were there for 6 weeks, and we visited every holy shrine and every holy man you can think of.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if it was something along the lines. I know a bit about your background. Obviously, I don't. The trouble with you read people's books sometimes, you're not sure if they're about them or somebody else. That's why. But I thought about you, and I think it's an incredible piece. Clive's dead right with that. So you really hit me hard with that. So brilliant stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Osman, back to you now then.
Okay, so
Are we
this
gonna have some?
time,
Are we gonna have some erratic fiction or erotic fiction off you tonight?
Erratic, please.
yeah, definitely erratic fiction. What I'm going to do this time is I've been sending reviews to Amazon for products that I haven't bought from Amazon. I mean, some of them I may have bought from other places, but they're just usually ordinary everyday items and I send really cranky reviews. And I start with giving it a 5 star straight away. So I never say anything negative, or because at the end of the day you're messing with people's businesses and living. So, but I give it 5 stars. The first line is usually something praising the product so that it sounds like a genuine review, and then it gradually gets sillier and sillier and sillier. This one is the latest one, actually, and all bar one of the ones I've done so far have made it onto Amazon, and they are still there to this day as reviews for a product. And this is one that's on there. There is one that didn't quite make it because it went against the community standards, and that's in the book as well. But this is the latest one, and it's for Colgate Cool Stripe toothpaste. Now, why anybody would buy that off Amazon, I'm not quite sure, but it was there, so I thought, well, okay, let's review it then. And you have to remember that this is actually live now on Amazon as a review. So if people are, for some unknown reason, reading reviews of toothpaste, then they'll come across this. I bought this toothpaste without much expectation, to be honest. I always thought toothpaste was toothpaste, and as long as you used it properly, you will keep all your teeth until you were at least 35. I've even known people as old as 40 with most of their teeth. But they were typical boring old people who thought nothing was as good as the old days and so didn't eat today's inferior chocolate and were too miserable to buy birthday or Christmas presents, so didn't have to risk using their teeth to cut sellotape. However, this toothpaste is different. It really does do what it says on the pump. And for the first time in my life, I have a cool stripe running across my teeth. Last week, my partner had a fever. She rested her forehead against my protruding front teeth, and bingo, she not only felt better, but smelled beautifully minty. I am now setting up a private clinic for people with fevers who want to smell like mint imperials. I never thought a humble tube of toothpaste would change my life, but I have already healed 17 flu sufferers, 6 cases of COVID, and a hypochondriac with a tooth fetish. I am now known locally as the Minty Messiah.
Oh, Clive. I've got 2 questions we need to ask people. One, obviously, people will know about. What made you start off with these Amazon reviews?
Oh, for a long time, I've had this sort of streak in me that likes to mess about with things like that. And I, even long before I started going public with my poetry and my comedy, I used to write under a pseudonym, crazy letters and emails to people, organizations. And why it occurred to me to do it for Amazon, I'm not quite sure, really. It was just, I think it's just that when you buy something, they keep bombarding you with requests to review it. So I think one day I thought, okay, let's review it. And then I started doing it with things that I hadn't bought, like the toothpaste and the Lynx deodorant and the Carex hand wash and stuff like that.
The second question I want to know about this, and I've not heard you mention this back yet. Have you had any really weird answers to these or replies to these products from the companies?
No. So some of the emails I send, and I have had 1 or 2 replies from them. Only 1 or 2. There was one. This was a long time ago now, but there was one that went along a chain in the company, and but they were forwarding the email to people, and somebody had typed in the email, "Is this bloke a weirdo or what?" And then it was passed on, and then they replied to me, and I've got the whole chain of conversation. So I just replied saying, I can't remember the woman's name now, so I think it was Laura or something. So I just said, and yeah, thanks for the reply, and please tell Laura I congratulate her heartily on spelling weirdo correctly, because with the I before E except after C rule, a lot of people get it wrong. And I never heard from them again.
Never know why though, definitely. Oh dear, Nayma, you've got to follow that up now. I don't envy you. Back to you,
I did say to Clive when he got his first review published, I said that's certainly one way to get published. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Actually, before Nayma does her next poem, I have actually said, and I do mean it, I'm trying, when my book does come out, it comes out on July the 2nd, and I'm actually encouraging people to give me a 5-star review and then write a crazy review like I do, so sort of get a little bit of a momentum going. And I'm really hoping it will work.
Tempt me, right? Yeah, okay. I'll make sure I've had a good couple of glasses of brandy in for I do that, right? And I'll speak to Amanda as well. Well, I think that could be arranged, right? So let's see what we can get away with against the world of Amazon, definitely. So anyway, Nayma, back to you, my friend. Poem number 3.
Woe betide, woe betide the land which stays hand in hand with and for the corporations who trade in exploitation. Woe betide the command where the layered withstand the cold in their homes, monitoring the ohms. Woe betide the rulers who feebly hide in coolers as the food banks bear the beleaguered. The bankers are rewarded by leaders. Woe betide the wolves dressed as sheep who impose the choice of eat or heat, playing economic roulette as the stakes soar. Foreclosure notices on the mat by the door. Woe betide the place who celebrates its disgrace, working all the hours of the day, still hungry with bills to pay. Woe betide the government whose greedy, sleazy intent underpays teachers and nurses as their bonuses fatten their purses. Woe betide the house of cards which collapses and bombards the battered deck, holding it up, offering trickles from its cup. Woe betide the schemers of empires fallen, who fight wars with poverty's sons, winning even when their webs come undone. They are the horsemen of days woe begone. Thank you.
Wow, that's really, really powerful, that one. Yeah, it's you've certainly seen, like, I think from your first book, which I picked it up fairly recently. I loved your first book. It seems to have gone like you've gone. Is the right word? Is more angrier in this book? Is that a good way of putting it?
I suppose so, yeah. I mean, I think, our politicians have certainly given us a lot to be angry about, haven't they?
Oh, blimey, yeah, completely. I think that's definitely the way things have been going at the moment with them, yeah. These, at the minute, should we start getting too political? It certainly had me banging my head against the ceiling in them recent, that's for sure of it. So by the time this podcast goes out, who knows? We may have a new government in power. But anyway, we are digressing that. Yeah, it's excellent. Tell us the background. What made you want to write at this point then?
Gosh, I think, it was just, I was sitting at home and then the news came up and it was just more corruption and more sleaze. And then, we saw, the stories about people afraid to turn their heating on, and the poor elderly woman who rode on a bus all day long so she could save on heating at home. And I just found it so infuriating that, it's sort of in one of the richest nations of the world that people are struggling as we are.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. I remember that story. And I don't watch the television for that reason, because it just depresses me too much. But yeah, I do remember that story on the BBC News. I felt sick after that one. Really, really, just great stuff. Can't fault you that. I completely agree with everything you wrote there. Right, I've actually lost count now. How many pieces have you done now, Nayma?
I've done 3.
Done 3, right? Okay, Mr. Osman, over to you for piece number 3 then. Right, that's it. I couldn't have done 3 or 4 each, and it shows you. I can't lose count, right? Okay, over to you, Clive, for the third one.
Okay, so this time I'm going to go for the flash fiction, and this I think this is probably my favourite piece that I've written so far in flash fiction. It's very weird, as I like to be. I do like to be a bit surreal and a bit left field, shall we say. This is called Uncle Wesley. I always thought there was something weird about my Uncle Wesley, but couldn't quite put my finger on it. Not that I would want to put a finger on anything to do with him. I may catch his nasty side, but it baffled me that he freaked me out, and I didn't know why. Some people would have been taken aback that he wore a saucepan on his head when he went out, with the handle always pointing southwest. It's always amused me that he had to adjust the saucepan if he turned a corner or looked round to see what was behind him. I never really understood the southwest thing. He did try to explain it to me once, but I got lost at the bit about evil spirits in Devon. But the saucepan kind of suited him, and he got used to being told to go boil his head by people who couldn't come up with anything more original. I only realised what it was that was weird about him when he gave me some paint for my 18th birthday and told me to put it on my teeth. All those years, he'd had bright red teeth, and I'd been focusing on the saucepan. He said the paint was a tradition passed down by his father to stand out from the crowd. But if he wanted to stand out, I don't understand why he ruined the effect by putting a saucepan on his head. But then logic was never a strong point on his side of the family. His sister once gave someone £100 in real money for £50 in Monopoly money because she saw a house for sale on Old Kent Road. But enough about my eccentric relatives. You want to know what makes me tick, don't you? Well, I once shoved an old-fashioned alarm clock up my bum, which worked for a while, but it was a bit uncomfortable when I sat down, so I was glad when it stopped. I know you think I'm mad, but is it any wonder with a family like that? My dad was just as bad. He was an introvert and didn't want to stand out, so he Tipp-Ex'd his teeth. And he was considered the bright one of the family. Alas, his attempt at anonymity resulted in bluebirds mistaking his teeth for the White Cliffs of Dover and dive bombing his mouth, which wasn't what he wanted. I've got my own way now and completely cut myself off from the family. I live in a bungalow in Devon, and I can't get it out of my head that Uncle Wesley's saucepan handle is pointing the evil spirits in my direction. I never believed in such mumbo-jumbo, but now I feel the need to have him robbed out. Perhaps he was onto something all along. Thank you.
Nayma, I'm going to let you ask Clive any questions you've got about that. I've got plenty of questions, but I might have the white men arriving with jackets on to take Clive away there.
Is Uncle Wesley still with us, and has he heard the poem?
Uncle Wesley is unfortunately standing on the shoulders of Margaret Thatcher in hell at the moment. So,
oh dear, 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 Clive. I don't know where to start you sometimes, mate, with that one, but that is, yeah, I think erratic fiction is a good term for that one, definitely, right? And we're certainly playing this back to Amanda when she's feeling a little better next day or two. The people wonder she's not been very well at the minute. But yeah, she will actually think you're insane. In fact, actually, she says you're insane anyway. So
I'm happy to be classed as insane, because most of the so-called sane people I know are weird.
No, it's quality, mate. That's all I can say, mate. I love hearing from you, mate. That's brilliant. Okay, we're on to the last round now. Nayma, it's time for your finale piece, I believe.
A finale piece. Anybody who knows me knows I absolutely love T.S. Eliot, and this piece was inspired by the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, and I wanted it to be a female response to the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. After Alfred, a response to the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. This is how we stay, you and I, and the dying sun bleeds into the sky. Amongst your rainbow organized clutter, amber air filtering through the shutters, murmured discourse across the coffee table as voices tenderly cosset like silken sable, romanced by the rapture which so easily enthralls our flirty festival, deaf to the Imam's call, the grandiosity of Moroccan chalets, so befitting the moment, colourfully beaming, proudly, without encroachment, darkness sifting into the room, a tagine ashtray with smoky plumes. In the Casbah, women stop and chat, talking of victory in the World Cup, strolling through the scattered stalls of the sulks, as the dust nestled before settling on our skin, the musk and kufta infused air, our clothes drink in, the charmer and the serpent, charmed by the flute, down dehydrated alleys and lumpy footpaths, who silently sigh imperialist epitaphs, the sunny fingers who poke through the arches, rubbing against our faces, she teasingly arches. Surely there is not enough time for the eternal soul to fully express the elation that rebukes the world's transgress. There is never enough time, clawing at our arms and baring its fangs, the ebbing humanity that lingers in turn, as we scuttled into the acrid alcoves where the air whispered of olive groves. There is never enough time to consume all the joy, to face the forces whose gluttony only destroys, time to put the world to rights over Ete, to stretch across sweeping space, to stay. In the Casper, women stop and chat, talking of victory in the World Cup. There is not enough time to consider and reconsider the future and around the existence that felt like a sham, to wonder when first the crows landed on the corner of the eye, to console the boastful fool, to choked, to challenge culture, tittering tongues, such a shame, an ungodly life, their pitying stares, feigning care, stabbing like a knife. See how the colour drains from my cheeks and hair. I was once beautiful, my insecurities keeping me unaware. If I breathed you in and held my breath, could we stay, you and I, in eternity's depth? I have known the men who sexted and courted, acquainted with the over-familiarity of breaking wind and poking orifices, the romance long since dimmed, the holidays and cheap hotel rooms where I faked love to fill the gloom, faded cigarette smoke and designer perfume. I will say, let it slash. I too am familiar with them all, the rampant, looking for a booty call, the Thai restaurants with lemongrass walls, the sexual role play that disguises ennui, the TV flashing an old childhood matinee. Should I flinch at the judgment of your double standards, scouring my sullied skin to wash away the hands? I have felt the hand that pinned my arms above my head, its fingers calloused and fat like sausages. The invented drama that attempts to assuage the coarse stubble that pours at your cheeks, the restlessness that fuels rendezvous in car back seats, Chanel blue on your t-shirt, and I forget, what was I saying? I served myself bare. Are you shocked yet? When we were seated on the wall above the sea, the ocean dressed in a veil of encrusted diamonds, before the light shimmied into the ebony horizon. I should have accosted Father Time, cursed him for not granting more time. How the snow outside settles so comfortably, its Arctic breaths drifting in with the draft, presenting merriment, bringing chaos, frosty rabid jaws that chill to the bone, pushing into our sensory nerves as we sit numbly, seeing your message flash on the phone. Your warmth surrounds me. I berate myself silently. This is not me. I scoff at love and the impossible reality sold. Am I a realist or a cynic? Maybe I am just too old. You knew I was afraid. I was terrified. After beef tagine and Moroccan fruit salad, after roll-ups and hot drooling ete, to selfishly stop the seconds to say, let us stay this way forever and a day, to tame the white noise with your fairy ballad, to balance on that flicker, hurtling through the infinite universe, behind a devoured Mother Earth, to embrace that ecstasy into my pulse, to say I am Aphrodite, here to engulf my raging tides, dissolve the gulf. Cliche, age mockingly snickers amongst the dyed paintbrushes and unfinished tableaus, the water in the jar tinged with plum, the way you always place your hand behind your back as the other moves across the canvas like a bird in flight, simultaneously awed and struck dumb. You are somewhere else, in the contours only an artist knows, glimpses of joy and sorrow in a coat of many colours, where we spoke only in the tongue of the land of our mother, our clothes tossed on the floor, the eyes who lap up and store a catalogue of mannerisms to recall. I pleaded with time to mercifully stall. Christmas looms and festivity finds no place in my will. Maybe the frenzied buying and gluttonous eating obliviously pass me by. If I just sit really still, the goodwill to all men as indelible as the greetings, the artificial tree still banished under the stairs, grudgingly goads me, my slovenly lack of care, taunting me with descent into malaise. But I am so tired and all out of rage. Should I fritter away life's pittance on age-defying creams, popping silicone, eating superfoods, washed down with green tea? I dismay at my wearied, sagging eyes, how my breasts no longer shun gravity. Time's unrelenting, harsh reality. He does not wait for me. Walking along the beach, footsteps tickling the tide, My black dress is hem, dusted in the salt of the sea. Me in a skewed straw hat. The sun in your eyes. I would spend it all, consume it all, night and day, wildly laughing in the face of advancing grey. If I thought it would keep us forever this way. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. Really, really good, that Nayma. Now, I could certainly see the T.S. Eliot in you straight away in that piece. So I studied him at university. Yeah, that is slightly T.S. Eliot-ish. So when you're writing a much longer poem like that, because it's quite a long poem, that one,
Yeah.
does it take you a lot longer to write that? Because I know my case, I tend to write longer poems quite quickly, and the short ones give an absolute nightmare for me sometimes. Did that come together quite quickly, that piece?
That one actually came surprisingly quickly, given the length. I mean, I started writing it in the morning. I think I probably finished it about 3 a.m. But, you know, it came to me in dribs and drabs throughout the day. And then obviously sort of as the days follow, go back and you edit and you tweak a little bit. But the poem itself and the structure and everything else pretty much came to me in one day. Came to me at 7 o'clock in the morning and then sort of went right through to 3 a.m.
Oh my good grief. Was it that sort of piece where you needed lots of coffee that day to keep going?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, good grief. I did that. I think I'd end up getting divorced. I think my man would throw me out if I ignored 20 hours. Oh, wow. But no, tremendous. I can't add anything to that. Clive, is there any comments you want to add about that piece? Because I know you've heard that one before, but you told me about that.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to say anything other than wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you say, it's a very long piece, but it never once loses your attention all the way through. It's it's
Did for me, and
fantastic.
that's deserving a round of applause for that straight away. Because like I said, to write a long poem like that is incredibly difficult to do. Let alone hold people's attention. I agree with Clive completely there. Excellent stuff. And it's a great way of wrapping up your part of the set now. Right, Mr. Osman, let's see how you take us out beyond that now, mate. Good luck.
Okay, well, it's difficult to imagine a greater contrast in two writers between me and Nayma, isn't it? Really, but
well, you definitely like Laurel and Hardy in some ways, and that anyway. I'm not saying who's Laurel and who's Hardy there.
Well, looking at the size of me, I think I'm definitely Oliver Hardy. Okay, so this one is, as you know, I do like to make things happen in my poems that couldn't possibly happen in real life unless you was on some sort of substance. And this is called Going Home. And obviously my love of living in Swindon is well known, and my love of my home city of Birmingham is well known. So yeah, and one of those may be facetious. So this is called Going Home. I was on my way home to Birmingham, having laid waste to much of Swindon with huge amounts of Novichok I had bought on eBay. I caught the 11:15 train, which was only 2.5 hours late, arriving at Swindon station, but then broke down as it approached the platform. Most people break down when they approach Swindon, so it was totally understandable. Great Western Railway are well prepared for the Swindon effect and have Dr. Ivor Reviver on standby. He became famous for his work keeping over the engine on the straight and narrow, and is now Thomas the Tank Engine's shrink of choice. Eventually, we were on our way, and as Swindon disappeared into the distance, I felt a strange sense of euphoria. Even the Play-Doh people started to smile, and the elephant on seat 26 coach D started to laugh uncontrollably, though no one mentioned this. I swear I was hallucinating. I saw 2 unicorns mating and a massive mule meditating in the toilet cubicle. I knew it wasn't real because the cubicle wasn't big enough to swing a cat, and the tiger playing guitar was unperturbed and would have turned nasty had it been disturbed. I still remember how it turned on Eric Clapton when Eric went to have a crap and he told him he played a bomb note. I panicked when I saw a tarantula the size of Donald Trump's ego scurrying towards me. Luckily, the massive mule had finished meditating and was aware of the situation, performing a citizen's arrest on the startled spider. From there, things got really bizarre, with scenes involving murderous monkeys, delusional dogs, double-headed giraffes, and Piers Morgan. I woke up in a sweat, the rain hammering against the windows of my damp Swindon flat, and I longed to be on that train to where my heart will always be, as long as Piers Morgan wasn't on it. Yeah.
Quality, quality. Either I know Nayma, you would have. Oh, hang on, better unmute Nayma on that. Yeah, I know Nayma would have heard that one at least once before. And either do you do that at some Zoom night recently, Clive? And I'm absolutely delighted you've done that one because Amanda's not heard that yet, and I know what Amanda's like with unicorns, so she will definitely be interested in this one. So yeah,
Well, let's hope there's some result from the mating then, and the story can continue, can't it?
I'm going to say nothing now, really. So all I can say to you, I'm not even going to ask where the influence for that one came from. But we know how much you're a big fan of Piers Morgan you are after that piece, anyway. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's it for today, guys and girls. So we're going to do the quick hard sell now. Nayma, refresh people's memories. What is your book called, and where can they get it?
This is the book. It's called Saging, Not Aging, and it is available on Amazon. And please do buy it.
Yeah, and Clive, what is your book called again?
My book is called Musical Hamsters and Much Bigger Issues, and it's available as his name is on Amazon. Also from me, for people in the UK, from me. Signed, and if I meet them in person, I can give it to them, or I can send it post free. So yeah, I mean, obviously wherever possible, I prefer them to be bought from me, but Amazon is the other option.
Yeah, would you write some personal nonsense on them for Clive as well? Would you, instead of an autograph?
Oh, I always write something depending on who it is. Whether I'm serious or not serious. I have put one or two things that you wouldn't expect to find as a dedication in the book. And I'm not going to name any names here. I'm not going to name the city involved because I do not want the person to be identified because we've since, let's say, had a difference of opinion and we are no longer friends. Say again?
What did you write in mix, you twat?
I'm glad you said that name, and I was thinking along the same lines.
No, it was somebody who, let's say, they got a bit too big for the boots, and they changed. But anyway, I put that they bought a copy of I think it was my second collection, and I wrote in there, I'll make up a name and a city so that you can get the gist of what I actually said without actually naming them or locating them. I put to John, you may be the biggest cunt in Edinburgh, but your money is as good as anybody else's.
Oh, Clive, don't. I don't know you got away with that, mate. In fact, you probably didn't, actually. He's probably coming around to your house the next time with baseball bat. Right, guys, go listen with me. Me, Clive, and Nayma are going to chat a bit further anyway. So I want to thank you both today. This has been absolutely brilliant. You've made me cry. You've made me think. And that's just what Clive's done alone, right? So, but thank the pair of you, seriously. Thank you again, Nayma. And thank you, Clive.
Thank you for having us, Andy. It's been a pleasure.
And as John Callis over at AEW Wrestling says, stay safe and stay over. We'll see you all next